What's good, Logic Gang? It's cjbeatz. We're back at it again today. Today we're going to make a drill beat in Logic Pro X 10.5. Ben's Music, a UK producer, sent me over his new loop kit called Garza. It contains some super fire loops, stems, MIDI, whatever you'll need to make these drill beats with in Logic. And let's have a listen to the stems that I selected for this tutorial, and then we're going to add some drums to it. So generally, drill beats are around 140 BPM. This tutorial is going to be at 144 BPM. I already have a drum machine designer placed in here with some drill drum sounds. And as always, I'll put the link in the description for you to download this entire project file so you could follow along or make your own beat out of it, use it as a template for future beats. So first things first, let's right click on this area here. We'll create a new pattern region. And for this drum pattern, we're going to be using the new step sequencer in Logic Pro X 10.5. It'll definitely make it easier for us to come up with a drum pattern quickly. First thing I'm going to do is select 32 steps. To come up with a drill hi-hat pattern, what you want to do is basically start here and then skip 2, place another one, skip 2 again, and then you can start that process over. So if that pitch of the hi-hat is a little too high, let's open up our drum machine designer, find that, and we're going to use the coarse here and bring it down a bit. Second thing I like to do is select a snare and place those. So that's a nice drill snare. I'm going to put that on the 3. So this is, 1, 2, and 3 right here. And then we're going to place it on the 8. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is right there. Next thing I like to do is come up with a kick pattern. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. For drill beats, what you want to do is have 1 at the beginning, and then, you don't want to have anything in the middle really, and then basically have some more at the end here. This is already a really good foundation for a drill drum pattern. The next thing you could do to make it a little more interesting is duplicate this. So I'm going to hold Alt down and basically just duplicate it so it becomes its own pattern. Let's go ahead and just loop off that pattern now. And with the second pattern selected, we could start adding some variations in the hi-hats, maybe some rolls. So note repeat is already here. If you don't see it, you could add it and then use this drop-down menu and select note repeat. So let's see where we could place some of these hi-hat rolls. Could use the volume, use the velocity here and bring down the velocity of that hi-hat roll. Let's make that hi-hat pattern a little more interesting and add some additional hi-hats here, some in-betweens maybe. We could add some more snares too. Maybe we could use some of these voxes. Maybe we could place that one there. If that's not in the right key, you could bring up your drum machine designer, select that sample, and bring it down to match it up to the pitch of the loop. Let's bring down the velocity of that vox. Let's go ahead and mess with the pitch of that hi-hat maybe. So I have it soloed out here. If I hit A on my keyboard, it'll bring up my automation tools. That channel strip that's selected, I'm going to hit read right here. What you'll see is this fine gray line appear right here. And that's basically our automation line, which is set to 0 right now. You can go to the cue sampler, pitch, and coarse tune. If you click on this area, this purple line will appear now. So now we can go ahead and start messing with the pitch here. I'm going to add one here and one bubble here, basically indicating the beginning of that loop and the end. And now I can figure out where I want these pitches to happen. So maybe where that roll appears, if I zoom in here, that roll happens right there. We could have it pitch down a little bit. So I'm going to make 3 bubbles. And at the next roll right here, I'll make another 3 bubbles. And then maybe some of these right here we can have at a lower pitch. You could also highlight them, bring them down together. Maybe I'll just do 2. We'll bring another bubble here. If we unsolo that, let's hear it with the drums. Gonna have some more automation over here too. Now, if you want to bring these over, reuse what you already made, you could highlight them and just hit Alt, drag them over, just align them correctly. Let's go ahead and start adding some 808s to this, and what's really important is selecting the right type of 808. So find a longer 808 that you could pitch glide, and we're going to go ahead and create a MIDI region for this. Now there's a synth bass in here, so it doesn't clash with the 808. I'm going to drop an EQ on it, cut the lows out, so you still have the essence of that bass, but the 808 is going to take care of the low end. Let's find the root key for the 808. Let's go ahead and select the cue sampler, and I always like to bring my glide to maybe around 83 milliseconds. You got to play around with it to see what works. I also changed my pitch bend to a 4. Expand your piano roll and play some higher notes in the same key, of course. Okay, let's start expanding on this. I'm just going to select these, hit Alt, drag them over. Now we have some additional patterns here. Let's loop off that next section. Go back into this new pattern. Once you added some variations to those drums, you could also go in here, let's go into the 808. Now you got 16 bars with some nice change up in those drums. I'm also incorporating some MIDI here that I have from that same Garza pack, and I'm dropping this on a keyscape here. It's just some additional piano melody that we can drop on top of this. Once you have enough elements in your beat, you could start to arrange this. Bring this over for 8 bars so that we have an intro. And the intro, I'll have just the piano playing and also part of the synth bass. So I'm going to go ahead and use the scissor tool here, cut myself 8 bars. Now, if you remember, we cut out, the low end of that synth bass, but I want that low end to be in the intro of that. So I'm going to hit A to automate that section. Go to EQ. Use the low cut frequency here. Bring that over to the 9th bar, or the beginning of the 9th bar. Place myself a bubble. This way we can have the bass sound in the beginning. Now I wanted to continue with that piano, so I'm going to make another pattern out of that. Select all of them. Let's bring them down an entire octave. You can see that the volume levels are kind of robotic, so I'm going to go over here to Function, MIDI Transform, and then use Humanize. Always like to bring this up a little bit to like 13. Make that variation in there. Maybe we could bring these up just a tad. Let's EQ that piano as well. Cut out the low end, bring up the highs a little bit. Maybe we'll take out the sample. Duplicate that one more time, and now what we'll do is bring these up 2 octaves, so Alt Shift and up twice. Now let's go into the hook, so I'm just going to copy and paste these over twice. You hit A on that keyboard, you'll see that that automation actually dragged over, which is fine. I want the bass line to come back in the hook, but I want it to fade out again. Now we could select all of these right here. Bring it over. This way we have a song structure. What you can start thinking about now is making some variations and pauses and stuff like that. So maybe right before the second part of the first verse, we could select some of these here, like so, and put a pause in it. I always like to zoom in because I want that pause not to be too long. Just bringing it like half bar into it like that. It's definitely dope for a nice bounce. Now on the other side, what we could do is reverse. We'll select all of these guys right here and then bring these in maybe by a bar. But we're going to leave the piano melody though. Expand that one more time. To emphasize drops, I always like putting in some effects here. This one is a nice one. It's sort of a rising effect, you know, that puts emphasis on the drop. Sometimes you'd have to zoom in a little bit if you want to make it tighter. Something like that. Yeah, it sounds fire. Okay, let's use that same one. We're going to drop it. If you have snap enabled, it'll basically just snap it in place. Let's add some more pauses in the drums right before the hook starts, maybe. Same over here. All right, let's have a listen to the finished product. I think this came out kind of dope. Thanks for sticking around and watching this entire tutorial today. If you have any questions or comments, please use the comment section for that. Don't forget to leave a like and make sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you're notified anytime I drop some new Logic Pro X content. My name is CJ Beatz and I'm out. Peace.